Hi, I'm Amanda, and I'm in Battleground Games and Hobbies in Abington, Massachusetts. This is one of 3 locations Battleground has. We have one here in Abington, one in Norton, and one in Saugus, north of Boston. And I'm up in the loft in Abington because I'm going to be doing some painting. I've been working on some miniatures, some large miniatures. Look at those. It's like the size of the palm of my hand. I've been working on these. These are part of Starship Samurai, which is a board game involving giant mechs based on like real life historical figures in Japanese history, which is pretty cool. So I've been working on them. I am mostly done with this guy here. That is Hideyoshi with his giant impractical golden blade. So I need to do a little bit of touch up on him and some little bit of detail work on him. And then I'm working on Gozen. She's got all this silver, white, and red going on. Unfortunately, I can't finish her right now because even once I've got all the red on her done, which I knew I would have to let sit because I wanted to do a darker red, then brought up into a brighter red so that it looks like it's glowing because that's her card. So this is meant to be sort of, power. Andy had the sound playing in the rest of the store. That's always special. But the other thing about her is on her skirt down here, she's got all of this really intricate, like, lined flames going on. And it's in a burgundy sort of shade. And I tried using a paintbrush for this, and even my finest paint, the problem with my finest paintbrush is that even though it is ridiculously tiny, is this my smallest one? Yeah. It's really small. That's my smallest brush. My problem with that is that paint dries really fast on it. You can only put so much paint on this, and then you've got to refresh the paint. So either you're putting so much on that you're really globbing it on and the lines are too thick, or you're not putting enough on and you're only able to get a tiny bit of the line, and that's fine for like pupils in eyes and little dotted details, but for a lot of little lines and scroll work, it just doesn't work very well. So I'm going to use a pen, but the pens that I have like orange, and I have green, and I have black, and I have blue. I do not have red or burgundy. So I can't finish her, but I can get her to the point where the only thing left is that. And then I've got Shingen, who I'm working on at the moment. I was dry brushing some sort of reddish copper onto him. This is his card. This is what he looks like. So he has this sort of reddish coppery armor and this absolutely ridiculous weapon. So I've been working on that. It's got the base coat. It needs detail work now. Same as his armor. I went a little heavy with the copper and this little skirt piece, I guess. The thing is, there's a lot more copper work in some places than in others, so I actually think I want to go back over this with the red and then go back in with the copper. Yeah. And then I'm going to do some base coating for Mori here. Obviously, he's based in black. I based both Shingen and Gozen in white. I primed them in white because I knew she needed like white skirts and he had all that fur. And I really didn't, and her silver armor is supposed to be really bright. I really didn't want to have to be going over black with that. However, while Mori does have that bright blue, the copper has dark parts to it, and then it's got all this black in there. And I really didn't want to have to go over white with that. It was the same thing with Hideyoshi. There's no reason to prime that in white or even gray. No, prime it in black. Good to go. So he needs a little bit of detail work going on. I need to do some more highlighting on the edges of his cloak. Last week, I added some warm highlights on the high parts here because the gold is actually meant to sort of glow a little bit and reflect onto his cloak. So I added some very deep reddish purple highlights onto his cloak. Now it's a matter of going in and doing some very fine line work with the gold and doing touch-ups on the gold for him. For Shingen, it's definitely a lot of detail work now that he's got his base coat done. Gozen, again, detail work. Now that I've got the darker red, it's time to lift it, get it nice and bright. So I was using, I think I was using a blood red for that. So I was using like that. Now, it's time to go brighter and go with this fire red onto it. Really bring up that red and make it look like it's glowing. So that's a task for today. And then we'll play with Mori. Is my next job. And I'm gonna go over the parts of him that should be copper with copper. And then I'm gonna go over the parts that are this bright blue with white, so that I can put bright blue over it and have it really pop, because bright blue over copper, just gonna be muddy and weird. So that's the plan. Yeah, I think like that's a good one to start with, but I think what I need to do is do that sort of this color and then go up into this. That might work, except it's really like a robin's egg blue, and it's meant to be electric. Okay. Yeah, I see. So I think what I want to do is go from like white up into this, up into like something like, not that.
Maybe mix a little silver into it?
Yeah, it really needs to get that pop of blue like those two there. Dan is joining me. You'll be able to hear him in a moment. Yeah, we're going to get him mic'd in a moment. I think Andy plugged in a mic, and I don't know where he put. Oh, it's there.
I'm not sure it's
Yeah, I don't know. He's on his way. So yeah, so that's the task. Let's keep playing with Shingen while we're at it. I think I do need to go back over him with the brick red.
How's it, Dan?
Yes, I think so.
Everybody welcome Dan to the stream.
Hello.
Off screen, of course.
Yeah.
Can anyone hear me?
Can you hear me now?
I feel like it's...
I'm going to pull up our feed so that I can see chat.
Ooh.
I should probably mute this. Yeah, that would be weird. Andy did have me coming through the speakers downstairs.
I heard that from us. Like,
very disorienting.
It's a bit odd.
Like, oh, that's my voice.
Oh well. Maybe I already have this guy. I don't care. I can always use more Yetis.
Yeah. So, yeah. Nice, relaxed Saturday afternoon of painting. That's the plan.
All right, this fella's done. This is good.
Nice. So he was a commission?
Yes, that was for Mr. Callahan.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
He was looking for one on eBay that was already done. I was like, how much? Like, I'll do it for $25 less. It's already assembled in here. I've wanted to paint this guy for a while. Like, yeah, cool.
Might as well. I went a little heavy with the copper there. It needs to be more of a highlight than a full paint job. So we'll just go over some of that.
You know, we were talking about having a D&D party split that has now led to 3 separate parties.
That's rough.
Well, it actually works out for us, because we sometimes have difficulty getting everyone there, but then we find out that the third third PC can't get there after the other two are there and the DM's there. So it's like,
Yeah.
two of us live in the same facility, which makes it easier.
That does make things easier.
So we were trying to figure out, what do we do when people are already here and they still want to do
Right,
something?
yeah.
So like, well, what if we did like origin stories or other side adventures to build the world out? So when we kind of reached the end of the storyline that we were on, the DM offered us a kind of a next story that two of the three party members were like, no, we are not going up into the mountains. That's not happening. The Goliath was kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm cool with that. And the Tabaxi was definitely not wanting to get on the ship.
Not feeling it.
No.
I can understand that.
Nor did the halfling want to go become a law enforcement type person.
I can also understand that.
So what ended up being determined, we'll keep the ship as the main quest, and two of us will just create new characters for that.
Okay.
And then each of the other two will create one so that depending on who's not there, those become what we're doing, and you just, every time you level up each character, you just level up all three. Excuse me. So we now have a Goliath barbarian that's going up into the mountains to do some type of investigation about, I don't know quite what yet, with a Yeti sorcerer. We have a Tabaxi Bard Ranger, multi-classed, which turned out to be a very good thing. That's going with, the character is going to be a paladin, and there's some kind of a large like bipedal eagle kind of, I can't remember quite what the creature is called, but they're giant bird people.
Okay.
And they're going off to meet the king and basically kind of start like almost a Texas Ranger type organization throughout the kingdom. And the main party is now going to be the halfling rogue. I don't remember what the other. There's
like
some type
anything I just did.
of wizard or sorcerer, and they're now about to be joined by at least initially, very angry Squirian druid, which is squirrel folk.
Yeah.
As they've captured a very advanced pirate vessel that is now theirs, and they're getting crew for it in addition, because it requires more. It's basically a sailing vessel. It does have the ability to fly if you plug an elemental into it. So there may at some point be a quest to go get an elemental. I know how this went in one of their previous campaigns, and if you've ever seen Futurama, when the professor explains to the rest of the crew that he booked their vacation on the space Titanic. Kind of like that.
Yeah.
But when they meet at least the Squirian, she's going to be attempting to set the ship on fire.
Of course.
She's the lone survivor of another vessel that the previous crew sank. So it has a bit of a vendetta against this ship.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's going to get interesting. I think the parties will be a little bit more balanced now, and the alignments will work out a little better.
Yeah,
That was
that's
the
always...
only kind of challenge with previously, is we had characters that went down very divergent paths, and the DM had to do some quick footwork to prevent PvP from taking place.
Yeah, and to sort of keep the group together so that it makes sense that they're all adventuring in one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the biggest issues we have with the library D&D program that Andy and I run, is that we're playing with 11 and 12-year-olds. And 11 and 12-year-old kids like to hit things, and they're also all real edgy. They want to play evil characters because they want to be evil.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we don't allow that because we really don't want the entire party turning on each other. It's not, because like half the kids would have fun with that and the other half would never come back. So we really don't want that. So we try to avoid it. But that means we're sort of constantly sort of pulling these kids back from like
The abyss.
doing horrible things to each other. But some of the rogues are, they'll steal from each other or they'll steal from other characters, and then they have to deal with the consequences of that. And that isn't always what they were envisioning would happen. They were thinking, oh, I'm getting away with it. And it's like, well, yeah, you're getting away with it for like all of 10 seconds before someone has a good perception roll. And then you're not getting away with it anymore. And now these other players are the people that you're still going to be playing with because this is how this game works. And now their characters are angry at your character and you have to deal with how that worked. So the idea of consequences has been, it's been fascinating. The one thing that I've been trying to do, and this is largely a problem because these aren't necessarily kids who already know each other. They're not all like friends already. Mm-hmm. They all came to this program. So that means a lot of them are strangers to each other. They don't actually know each other. And it's very easy for the kids who do know each other to end up kind of ganging up on a character that is played by someone they don't know. Mm-hmm. And I don't want that to happen because I really don't want one kid in the group to feel like everyone else is...
They're being persecuted.
Yeah, I don't want it to turn into, well, we all know what we're planning on doing next because we go to school together and oops, we didn't tell you. And also, we're not going to tell you because it turns out that we've decided our characters are all friends already and therefore we don't have to tell you, when that doesn't really narratively make sense. Especially if you hadn't already established it. So I really don't want like one kid to end up feeling like the other kids are excluding him. And there's a situation that I think might be brewing right now that I've got to nip in the bud next month, where one kid decided to do something, went and whispered it to the DM, who is my husband, and that's fine. If you want your character to do something in secret and you want to go tell the DM and ask if that's possible and the DM says, yeah, go for it, we'll deal with the consequences later, that's fine. That's totally reasonable. The character's a rogue. Makes sense. He was trying to steal something from the room that all the characters were in. But when the player came back, while Andy was trying to... We had a fairly sizable, excitable group. When he was trying to like get the other kids sort of back on track of like asking, okay, what is your character doing next and what's your character doing? The player for the character who wanted to steal the thing went and told other players what he was doing. Out of character. But didn't tell the player of the character that he's stealing something out from under. And they're two rogues. They both want the same chest full of stuff. And he's trying to do a thing and get away with it. And the character who is sort of, at odds with him, this player is telling all the other players and not that one player. You want to do something in secret and tell the DM and not tell anyone else? Fine. But if you want to tell the DM and every player but that other player, that gets a little...
This could lead to some problems, yeah.
That starts to edge into exclusionary behavior and bullying behavior, and amongst a bunch of middle schoolers, that's a concern I have to have. So, yeah, I'm not thrilled with his behavior right now, but we will deal with it when we reconvene next month. I just feel like the action that he initially took was not an issue, but then his later actions are definitely edging into problematic territory that I'm not okay with. So I think next month we may need to have a little sit down prior to playing, before anyone gets their character sheets. We're going to have to sit down and talk about excluding other players and proper behavior to your teammates, because this is billed as collaborative storytelling, and when you're introducing new kids to the game who haven't played before and you're trying to, have them all have fun, it's one thing if you and your buddies are getting together and playing together and like one of you does something that angers the other one. It's another thing when the kids that you're playing with exclude you and laugh about how your character doesn't know what's going on. I've been that kid who's the one being excluded, and it sucks. So I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that
I
was
really don't want to do that. And I don't want to be the adult who allows that to happen. Because I've been the kid in the situation where the adult says, "It's you guys will have to sort that out amongst yourselves." No. No, not having that. Not playing that game. I'm an adult and I'm in charge of this group. It's down to me to make sure that no kid is feeling excluded.
That was what ended up being one of the things that kind of killed our previous group, besides just some issues with distance and people moving away and getting new jobs, etc. But
yeah,
one of the PCs, when they were a PC, as they would also switch off, we had 2 simultaneous campaigns, same universe. And they would switch out, and sometimes they would be the DM. But their character was one of those, like, not sure if your character is being a dick to my character or you're being a dick to me.
yeah.
And if it's the former, like, that's cool. And if it's the latter, nah, not really.
Yeah, that stinks. And so I used to play in a lot of like online RPGs, and they were all writing based. There were no dice rolls or anything. And
Like
you'd
a
come up with
story debate?
yeah, it's all story driven stuff, and they were a lot of fun most of the time. But cliques formed, and then there was this whole faction that were like, "You can't call us a clique, we're just friends, we can't help it." And it's like, yeah,
okay.
but if you're then intentionally excluding people, it sucks. It sucks. So we would have like situations where no matter which character, all of us had multiple characters. It got frankly ridiculous at times. There was a point when I was running 20 different characters, and I had a light load of characters in comparison to some of the other players. Now, granted, a lot of the characters that we had were like NPC level in terms of the general plot of the game, but you're still talking really at least 10 very active characters that you were having to be writing for. Mm-hmm. And that made it very obvious when there were patterns. And you knew who everyone played, and you could see, okay, I have put my character up for like a conversation with literally any other character in the game, and no one bites. Or the only character that bites, their entire purpose is to just crap all over mine. And this happens again and again and again, and it's always the same person doing it. Start to feel a little bad. It starts to not feel great. So I didn't keep playing that game. And the group was okay. It definitely had some toxicity going on in it that was really frustrating, because you want it to be so much better, You see the potential in the plot line, you see the potential in a lot of the other characters. You really want to have your characters have cool interactions together. You're like, oh, I think these two would really hit it off. I think these two, like, sparks would fly. It would be horrible, but it would be horrible in a really fun, interesting way. And that's really cool in theory. And then in practice, you go to play it and people are all horrible. That stinks.
I remember doing similar things. Every once in a while, you'd run into somebody that would decide to include themselves in a plot point just to screw with stuff. It's like, go away.
Yeah, come on.
We are ignoring your character right now because they're being obnoxious.
Yeah.
That's...
And then because this was an issue, like a repeated issue, a couple of the players decided to start making anonymous games where you would apply for, a character, but you wouldn't state who you were as a player. You would just submit the character thing to like an anonymous Dropbox.
Okay.
And because it was all like writing based, we were using like LiveJournal and stuff like that. Actually using Greatest Journal, which, rest in peace, Greatest Journal, disappeared overnight, took all our logs with it.
What is this?
It was like a LiveJournal clone that you could make basically like unlimited free journals on. So I'm not surprised it went under, but it like disappeared within like 2 days. There was very little notice that it was happening. So if you did not back up your logs of all your games and stuff, gone, lost to the ether. Does not exist anymore.
Thanks for that memory. We had a long running story on a forum that I had been actually doing just that. I'd been copy pasting stuff into a Word document, and then it crashed. The forum did, and all of it was that we hadn't gotten through was lost. It's like, ugh.
So sad.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so frustrating. So yeah, we were all very sad about that.
No, I do not want to go to the hospital today.
No.
Having my fingers surgically cut apart, not something
No. Did you super glue your
Almost.
fingers?
That came close.
Rightio then.
Yep. There we go. Problem solved.
But yeah, it was definitely it was a frustrating situation, and it was made more frustrating by a lot of the like GMs sort of being a part of the problem. And then they'd start other games and swear, oh, well, we're not going to do this, so it's not going to be a problem in this game. And then, of course, it would be exactly the same problem as it was before. I don't know. I kept playing in it in hopes, because there were people involved that I really did enjoy playing with. So I kept playing with them. I kept joining the games in hopes that things would be better the next time, and they never were. So I don't know why I kept fooling myself into thinking they would be. But eventually things fell apart to the point where they just weren't going to get back together. And it turned out we had a fake player in the game for a while, which was super. We had one of the players had been masquerading as another player in addition to herself.
Oh, okay.
It was like a weird catfishing sort of situation. Where she had created another persona to spy on other players talking about her primary persona.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a thing, I guess.
Yeah, sure was. And when she was caught out on it, one of the mods of the game was like, I don't know, I don't take any of this proof as proof. She flat out admitted it. I don't believe it. I was like, okay. if you, sure.
Today, this person thinks the Earth is flat.
It was a mess. It was a total mess. So, yeah, I'm glad I got out of that. Every once in a while, one of them will like contact me and be like, hey, I'm getting a game back together. I'm like, cool.
Good luck.
Have fun.
What was that?
That was a follow? Was that a follow? It sounded like Dunselwill. Thank you for the follow. Hey, Andy, that font that we have for the follow, it's small enough and close enough together that I cannot easily read that font, and I can't see notices from over there. So maybe something to fix up at some point. I remember this off-white is annoying. It gets grainy in weird ways. I'd kind of forgotten about that. Oh well.
Oh, okay. So this is going to be a lot harder than I thought.
So you are kit bashing.
Yes. Yep, I just had an idea. Like, oh, let's see how this goes. Yeah, about that.
Anyone's
Games Workshop is notorious for this. They make things look like they'll be very easy. Like, oh yeah, I'll just put that together with that, and then I'll put that on the. No, they're always slightly incompatible
then
with
you
each
feel
other.
like they're laughing at you.
Well, some of them get very frustrating because they had some very cool conversions they came out with that are basically canonical now. However, to do them, they require the parts from, I believe, 5 different kits. So that's probably $150 for 10 figures.
Games Workshop, man. That's all I can say. Games Workshop.
They've gotten better. They don't seem to hate their fans quite as much anymore.
If you say so.
I think it took them a while to understand that they weren't alone anymore.
Yeah, that they had competition.
Yep.
That might do things a little bit less horribly.
I mean, they did for a little while, and then they went down the same road. I'm looking at you, Privateer Press.
Yeah.
Where it went from being a fun game to, yeah, we have giant things, that the only thing you can beat them with is the other giant thing for your
things,
faction.
yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
Well, GW is not particularly great to their customers, and certainly their prices aren't exactly friendly. But I will give them, when you buy something from them, you know you're going to get a decent product.
Yeah.
It's going to be well sculpted. There's going to be a lot of stuff you can do with it.
Which is good. Yeah, you don't want to spend that much money and have crap. I currently have my fingers crossed very, very tightly about Modiphius's Fallout stuff. I want it to be good. I have certainly paid money for it in hopes that it will be good. I pre-ordered that stuff. Theoretically coming out at the end of the summer. Like it should be shipping to stores from the UK.
This is a tabletop?
Yeah. That's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with how that came out. Now here's the issue. Theoretically, there's a little white stripe all the way around the edge. Okay, fine. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
It's going to be okay.
Everything's going to be okay. Do you remember OK Soda? Are you old enough for
Yes.
that? Okay.
All right. Fortunately, these are a one-off project and not something I planned on expanding into a whole army.
Not trying to kit bash like a whole squadron.
Once I get through these 10, that's it.
That's good. That's good.
This is a lot of carving.
Yeah. Thanks, Andy.
What's that?
He said it's looking awesome. I'm pretty pleased with how it's looking right now. I have to do this very, 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 very fine white line around the edge here.
There we go. The heads I need are in my car.
Oops.
Yay. That's all right.
You can unmic and you could unmic.
This is true. And I made a gigantic mess here.
That's okay.
I feel like I'm back at home. It's like the sink. Oh no, I started taking photos of this now. I never thought I would be a neatnik. I'm becoming the people that I always used to hate. Like, why are you complaining about this? I get it now.
I understand.
I mean, this isn't even that empowering. That's 2 days worth. That's one person. You also note that right next to it is the empty dishwasher. Like, can you put it in the dishwasher? There we go. Thanks.
The thing is, when you have a dishwasher, like I don't have a dishwasher, and I admit things pile up because time.
Nope, it's right there. It's
When
readily
you have
available.
a dishwasher, come on. You have been blessed with a dishwasher.
It works.
Yeah, we have one. It's basically just a drying rack because it doesn't actually run. Because our landlord is a slapper. He's like, yeah, I can't seem to find anyone to repair it.
Just get a new one. You don't repair those.
He says he can't find one the right size for the space that we have. It's like a little half-size space.
Yeah.
So,
That's why.
dishwasher's dead.
That's why we have to share the washer dryer with the downstairs. As our dryer hookup is on a screened-in porch that's directly abuts one guy's room, and would require us to give up one of the few storage spaces in the apartment.
Yeah, that's
utilize.
no good.
And the washer is supposed to go in the kitchen. That's where the hookup is. However, when the contractor he hired to put the kitchen back together after the December plumbing disaster recut the counter, he did so in a manner that means that a washing machine can no longer fit in that space.
Yeah.
Certainly not the same size as the one that was there.
Good times. Good times.
He's fun. Our landlord is remarkably neglectful. Expensively so for him, too. That's the funny part, because we're not the ones who pay the bill when the town comes along and the city slaps the "you still haven't fixed your yard" ordinance.
Yeah, ours does that too until the post office stops delivering mail because the poison ivy has overgrown the front walk. He won't cut it.
Like
When we complain that we're no longer getting mail, then he has someone come in and cut the poison ivy.
Ours, we don't have poison ivy, fortunately, but
We do.
like we actually have a large amount of tools, all things considered, between most of us. But what we don't have is a weed eater or anything like that. So that's not our thing.
It's not your responsibility. Our landlord's just lazy. He left us without like a kitchen sink that we could use for 2 weeks
Nice.
because it was leaking out the U-bend.
That's okay.
And I was like, I'm not a plumber, and I don't feel comfortable trying to fix this. You need to get someone in. And he kept not sending someone in and being like, it's not an emergency, so no one will come.
Yes, it is actually an emergency. I think
I
our
had to-
definition's a little different. It's
I had to threaten him with non-payment of rent because he was leaving us without a functioning kitchen sink, which is a violation of like Massachusetts tenant law. Amazingly, he found a plumber really fast after that. Someday I will move. Inertia is an amazing thing.
Oh, there it is. Okay. So please don't go flying across the room. I'm really not up for crawling around looking for parts right now. Let's go there. Oh, right. This seemed like such a good idea when I thought about it.
So what are you trying to put together?
I'm converting just regular looking guardsmen like these guys into kind of a French Foreign Legionary theme.
Okay.
So I'm kit bashing the Mechanicus overcoats and rifles, and I have all kinds of very strange, historically based guardsmen all over the place now. That's one of the nice things about the universe they've created, where it's kind of sort of fantasy based as much as sci-fi. For a lot of the stuff, if you kind of envision it, like it's probably out there somewhere.
Yeah.
There's literally millions of worlds that contribute. soldiers and space marines, etc.
If you can think of it, someone's probably doing it, and therefore you can make it and
Yep.
have it work.
Yeah, and it was towards like the twilight time of years old. Yeah. That's the first, is that the first
Which works out well for me because I'm in many ways kind of like their ideal customer. I like the lore and I enjoy the modeling. I don't really care about the gameplay. I don't actually really play.
That is ideal.
Once the new version of Kill Team comes out and you can play a game with much lower figure counts and a much shorter period of time, I will probably play a lot more. Right now, I just don't have the time to play something that takes an hour to set up and then takes an hour and a half a turn.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But it's fine. It's fine. I just have to get this. Sure.
Oh, we need our other character to give me a figure.
So you can do it.
Yeah, our long running, actually it's like 2 years. Wow, it has been about 2 years now. It helps when we only meet like once every other month.
Yeah.
Star Wars game. I made figures for all of the PCs.
Nice.
And they're right here. Inside the Chewbacca can koozie. It's got an ammo belt and everything. That one. That is Kurt's Chiss. That is Brian. He is Duros. That is me. These two figures started as the same figure.
You showed me that
Yes.
before. That's awesome.
Technically, that's also me. When we got a bigger ship, we ended up with some NPCs that are fully statted out, so we can change out
You
the
can
characters.
play, you can play around with them.
Which turns out to be very handy because Trog, who is our happy Trandoshan armsman, or unhappy Trandoshan armsman, is far better at getting into combat situations than our grumpy mechanic, Guile, who is a Moncal and is much squishier.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we have our other human NPC, and we have Kale, which is ironic given it's the tallest character.
Wow.
And he hasn't shown up for the last like 2 sessions, so
Love
yes,
you,
I'm
Kale.
giving him crap. We have one more PC joined later that I need a figure for. And we've come close to we came close to a couple of TPKs. I think Brian's character actually needs to have, I'm not going to do it because it would be way too elaborate, but needs at least one cybernetic limb. Yep.
These things happen.
Yeah, he's spent a lot of time in the back to tank. A lot. At least one ship-based encounter. Fortunately, we saw that something was dragging him down into what apparently was some kind of shipboard dungeon. We're like, Okay.
Maybe we shouldn't let that happen.
Trog actually ended up inside this Space Cthulhu thing at one point.
Why am I not shocked?
Would have killed basically any other PC had it not been Transocean. And just got really angry and started clawing the insides. It's like, well, okay, I can work this. You're going to let me go. And then somebody shot the thing hard enough that it had to kind of throw him up. And then it ran away because it had enough of us. But
You guys are mean. I don't like you. That came out far better than I had any right to expect.
I mean, we also freaked out Ron at one point because he had set up all this stuff for our base. And then, I don't remember quite what happened in game, it was that long ago, but we ended up getting like attacked there by something. And I think it was drug smugglers or something like that. And we fended them off, but in the post-battle conversation was like, well, if these guys are going to keep coming, like, we should go somewhere else. And he's sitting there like, oh, no.
I worked so hard on this.
I've got page upon page of diagrams, and it's like, no, guys, they're not coming out. Like, this was a one-time thing. It's like they're about to leave. They're about to leave all this work we just did. Because it made perfect sense. They're like, no, I'm not going to stay here while these guys just throw mooks at us every session. Like, this is not good.
Yeah, in character, that makes total sense.
Yeah, same thing with our D&D. I don't know if our DM has regretted giving us the flying brooms yet, but it's got to be pretty close to it, because we've utilized those to do things that were unexpected. To include eliminating a lot of random encounters on the road, because we just don't use the roads anymore.
Yeah.
Like, there's polar owl bears down there? Yeah, well, the polar owl bears can't get us if we're flying, so nope. Nope. Yep, right over them.
Gotta come up with some stuff in the air.
The challenge at that point, I think, for him is to not to be totally meta against us.
Yeah. You gotta find something that's like a balance between, yes, I want to make sure they're being challenged, but also I don't want to just be doing it to get back at them.
Yeah. Well, when we assaulted the pirate ship, we launched an aerial assault across the water via brooms. This is an outside of context problem for everyone in this universe. It has literally never been done before by anyone. So if there's some kind of anti-aircraft defense, that's funny.
Right.
Fortunately, despite doing a lot of very elaborate prep work for the environments and NPCs and everything, it's actually quite good. It oftentimes forgets what our capabilities are, whether it's the equipment we have or the spells we utilize, etc. And yeah, that usually bites.
Yeah.
Bites something he's got planned, just like, well, oh, okay, that did not, I forgot you had that. Yeah. What? Oh, that's bad. Where are my green stuff tubes? Oh, well, we'll do that later.
Wow, that looks a lot better than I thought it would look at the end of this. So I actually have to make like a reddish wash, or find a reddish wash to go over some of this stuff, because it needs reddish shadowing in it. And I think there is one in the paint box that I'm using, but
I'm running out of space.
I can't use like my normal
I have
go-tos.
several that might do it. I've got Vallejo Red. This is Umber. And that's Sepia. And then, where the hell did the other one go? Ah! Oops. And then there's these two.
Nice. It has 3 locations.
3!
The guy downstairs who has been explaining that Battleground has 2 locations, forgetting Saugus, I assume. There we go. What do you think of the weapon?
Nice. I see what you mean. Yeah, they're kind of red-brown and for the
Yeah.
scrolling.
And that all that white line work around the edges was like very painful to do. That was not fun.
I can see that.
Because it's sort of molded in, but not 100% molded in. So you have to be very careful going over where you are. Better. Some touch-ups here. Yeah, that's better. Much better. Okay.
Oh, it's just one. It's just one.
Alright, there we go. Good. Yes. Right. Oh, there they are. Okay. Looks like there should be green stuff in here. There currently isn't.
Oops.
There it is.
Excellent.
Yes, that's gonna slow me down big time.
Yeah. Amaranth Pink. Hi, welcome. Sorry, my chat is like over on my left, so I didn't see you. Thank you very much. I'm having a lot of fun painting this nonsense. It's great. I do need a new brush. This brush is getting real janky.
But it's like an old pair of shoes. You don't want to give it up. It's like, no.
I know, right?
Really? It's got plastic stuck in it. Welcome to my world. All right.
I need more gold.
But are plebs needed? That's the real question.
God, there's so much lining with white on this thing. It's painful to look at. Look at all of this.
Oh, yes. Is it molded or is it, you gotta freehand it?
I mean, it's sort of molded.
But not really.
Not enough that I can just like dry brush over it and make it happen.
I was just thinking how nice it would be to be able to have an astronaut there. I think it's crappy. And I get a shot. I get 3 dice because I have a crit that takes away your slight check. So 3d1 is 6. Alright, that's fine. That's crazy.
Alright, got that. That went surprisingly well. It's gotta be a trap.
You pay for it later.
Always do.
You were here. So if you had one
Oops. Yep, there it is. Okay.
You paid for it.
Well, I just didn't think something all the way through.
It happens.
Yeah, regularly with me.
and now red.
who got this?
But I'm thinking of the other. I'm thinking of the target lock one, where if you have a target lock, you can't use this thing where you roll and get rid of the target lock. That's what I'm doing. All right, harpoons.
So far, this guy has been my favorite guy to paint. He's got a lot going on, but it all looks real cool when it's like actually painted.
Oh, no, get back up there. No. There we go.
Because it was a hit, crit.
Which one's this?
This guy.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
just,
I like
he
the fur.
looks real cool. Nope, that's not actually what I wanted to do. That's okay. That's okay.
And that's irrelevant because, oh, you moron. All right.
What'd you do?
Nothing, it's fine.
Everything's fine.
Oh, whoops. Okay. I modeled something I didn't have to because the pack goes over where it is.
Oops.
All right. There we go. Oh, no, that's not where that goes. Okay. That's one.
Yay.
Not there yet because I don't have the heads, but whatever. Those are outside. Oh, whatever happened with the donkey?
Oh, so the kid who did it, he's away on summer vacation and he's not going to be there until like the fall. So
Not cool.
he'll see it eventually. He'll see it eventually. Just not right now. We showed it to the other kids and they think it's super cool. So, yeah, Andy, so far this is definitely my favorite. The color scheme just looks awesome. He's looking great. I'm really happy with it. So yeah, the donkey, the kid who wanted it is on vacation, so he's not around to play with it. But I'm sure he'll come back. He's just on vacation. And for the benefit of anyone in chat who was not privy to this particular situation, my husband and I I'm a children's librarian. Contrary to popular belief, I do not work at Battleground. My husband and I run a D&D program at the library, and one of our kids is playing is he a druid or a ranger? Who gets the animal companion?
Ranger.
I think so. Druids get animal companions in 5th edition.
Oh, okay.
He might be a druid. He loves nature, is the point. And he decided when he hit the right level to get, no, maybe they don't, maybe. Anyway, whichever character, maybe he's a ranger, whatever. He hit the right level to get an animal companion for his character class. And, you know, there's a certain limit to how big or how fierce an animal you can get. You know, you can't, like, get an animal companion at, like, level 3 and suddenly have, like, an owlbear. So it's supposed to be, you know, you have a certain range of creatures you can pick from. So we told him, these are your options. And we showed him the back of the player's handbook where it lists the creatures, and we told him anything with a rating of this much is fair game for you. You can choose whichever one of these you want. And in the next time we play, it will, like, just appear for you. It will just, like, walk out of the forest. It will have been drawn to you. So he's sitting there looking through. He's like, so I can't decide if I want a panther or a mule. Those were his two options that he had narrowed it down to. And he ended up going with a mule. He wanted a donkey because he had been asking about getting a horse or a donkey from, like, the very start, and he did not have enough money for that. But he ended up got himself a donkey, which is awesome for him. He uses it as a pack animal, and it's his best friend. And we had told him we were going to get him a figure, and he wanted a white donkey, not an albino, but a white donkey. So Andy got a pack mule figure, and I painted it, and so now it's done and ready. But by the time I got it finished, I got the painting done. He's on summer vacation because these are all kids. So if their families are going away for the summer, or visiting family or whatever, they're away for the summer. They don't get to stick around. They're like 12. So yeah, he has not seen his mule figure yet, but he will.
Oh my. Okay. All right.
Everything okay there?
Oh yeah, we're good.
Okay, cool.
Calm.
Everything's fine.
I'm just reminded there's a stand-up by the late great Robin Williams talking about getting X-rays done. He's like, yeah, they put this little lead sheet on you, and then they go stand behind a 3-foot thick wall.
Yeah, yeah.
You'll be fine.
Man, I miss Robin Williams. He's the best.
There's a run by fruiting.
I recently saw a photo of him and Christopher Reeves when they were young. They were apparently roommates at Juilliard.
Huh.
Isn't that wild? And Robin Williams took over paying all of his hospital bills when he basically ran out of money.
Oh, wow.
Because full-time paraplegic care is expensive. But all experimental treatments, Williams paid for everything.
That's cool. So many extra parts.
You know, they keep a tub of those under the big gaming table near the front of the store.
I don't know if they'll be useful to anyone.
That's the thing. What might not be useful to you, someone else may have a use for that you might not have thought of.
Yeah, it's all stuff I'm cutting off of pieces.
Never mind. You never know, though. You really don't.
Yeah, because I've been on the opposite side of that. Where I just really need those would be cool.
Yeah.
Okay, this is gonna get weird. All right.
Is it time for one of the stupid small brushes? Yeah, it is. It's time.
I should have brought my computer down. The other thing I've now been suctioned back into was colony survival. It's similar to Minecraft, but where the villagers aren't completely stupid and you assign them to do stuff. So depending on what kind of stage you're at,
And they theoretically actually do it?
yeah, well they you assign them roles. So the farmers go into their field and farm, and you can, depending on the time of day and whatever, it's got a cycle.
Yeah.
You can let it go, and they will, once it's self-sustaining, at least in terms of food, they'll just stockpile.
And just keep doing it.
Yep. And sometimes that's nice to be able to walk away from something and not I forgot. Oh, they're not all dead. Great.
Good. They could take care of themselves. Wonderful. I don't have to micromanage.
And the village is burned down
Whether
over
they've
by
eaten.
zombies. Great. There was the other thing that was kind of disappointing with it is they went down the zombie road.
Yeah.
Really, there are other things out there that can be a threat.
I don't like zombies. They're one of my least favorite horror-y tropes. And they always were. I've never been. There's just something about the whole brain-eating thing that it squicks me. It just makes me uncomfortable. Grosses me out, and not in a fun gross out way, but in a stomach turning sort of way. And yet they're so big in pop culture. And I have friends who got into Zombies Run, which is the running app. And I'm nope, can't get into it. Not interested in running from zombies, thank you very much.
So, Shaun of the Dead?
Shaun of the Dead I like because it subverts a lot of stuff, and I like subverting tropes, but out of the Cornetto movies, it's not my favorite.
I have not seen all of them, which I really should.
Which one haven't you seen?
I have not seen all of Paul.
Okay, I haven't seen Paul at all.
And I have not seen was it The End of the World or something like that?
World's End was... It's not the best, but I think it was actually far cleverer than a lot of people gave it credit for. And I liked the way it worked. I liked the fact that each of the pubs they go to, it's like the final big pub crawl for this group of friends that sort of broke up at one point. And what I really do like about it is that the names of the pubs, they're doing this pub crawl called the Golden Mile, and the names of each pub on the Golden Mile fit into what happens when they hit that pub during the pub crawl.
I think I like Hot Fuzz
And I appreciate
best.
that. Hot Fuzz is the best.
The fact that it's like a semi-serious movie, like, okay, the plot is not totally absurd until that last 20 minutes, and then it goes completely off the rails.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah.
Yes. Using the line of shopping carts as a battering ram.
So good. Narp. Narp.
Playtime's over.
Yarp. Narp. Yeah, but then I also have a fondness for Simon Pegg because I share a name with him.
This is true. And
But yeah, Hot Fuzz is, and I grew up watching like British television. My parents were big like Anglophiles when it came to British media. So we were always watching like PBS and British TV in my house. And one of the things that we watched fairly religiously was The Avengers, which was a sort of action, adventure, spy sort of deal. Starring Dame Diana Rigg, only she wasn't a dame at the time, and Patrick Macnee, who sadly passed away a couple of years ago. But Diana Rigg is amazing, which anyone who watches Games of Thrones should be familiar with her as Olenna Tyrell. I don't watch Game of Thrones, but I know that she is that part because I pay attention to her because I think she's super awesome. And she plays Emma Peel, talented amateur. That is literally how it introduces her in the show. Because John Steed, who is her sort of crime-fighting partner, is like actually an like MI5, MI6 agent. And the reason I say MI5/MI6 is because MI5 and MI6 are like espionage and counter-espionage, and I forget which one goes with which. But Steed does both espionage and counter-espionage, so he's MI5.5 is the joke among people who care about the series. And it's very tongue-in-cheek. It didn't start out tongue-in-cheek. Hey, come with me while I tell everyone about the Avengers because I know way too much about it. You up for this, Dan? You up to learn about some British television history?
Sure.
So the Avengers was, it mostly was aired in the 60s. I want to say it started in the late 50s. Let me double check that.
The interesting thing, too, of people you don't expect to see in other places, is Simon Pegg is actually in Band of Brothers.
Huh, 61. Okay, so it started in 61. I knew it started like early. So the Avengers started out, it was supposed to be about a doctor whose wife had been killed by a gang and he was avenging her murder. that was the premise. And he employed the help of a sort of shady friend of his that he was pretty sure was a spy, but of course a spy's not gonna like introduce himself to some doctor and be like, hi, I'm a spy. So he employs the help of his friend Steed and the doctor go off and, you know, deal with the murderers who killed this guy's wife. And at the end of season 1, the actor who played the doctor got an opportunity to work on stage in England, in London. And you don't pass that up in England. That's like the ideal. You're not going to work, especially in the 60s, you weren't going to work in like a black and white television serial, like crime serial. You were going to be on stage and be a serious actor. So that was Ian Hendry. And he left the show. Well, that left them with a whole bunch of scripts and no doctor to play him. And suddenly they had Patrick Macnee as Steve, who was had been really well received by the public. He, you know, people really liked him. They liked him in the part. They liked the character. So they pivoted a little bit. They took the scripts that were meant to be for Ian Hendry's character, Dr. Keene, maybe? I'm forgetting the character's name. Anyway, because he only lasted for 1 season, and most of those episodes are hard to get a hold of, or they used to be. Definitely harder than the Honor Blackman series, which came next. The Honor Blackman series took a lot of the scripts from the Ian Hendry stuff and said, yeah, but what if his lines were said by this woman? It actually split the scripts into 3. There was one set of scripts that were kept as like a doctor who's sort of a kind of a sidekick. He was pivoted into more of a sidekick to Steed, but kept a doctor, and that was Dr. I'm forgetting the name. Another K name though, I'm pretty sure. But he was given that role. They hired an actor to do those. There were like, I don't know, 4 or 5 of those. There were a couple of episodes that were given to a sort of young, very feminine woman. And then Honor Blackman took over a bunch of the other scripts. And they just didn't change many of the lines. So for the first time in television, you had a female character who hadn't been written to be a female character. And so a lot of the things that she was doing and a lot of the things that she was saying weren't things that you typically had female characters in crime serials doing or saying. People really liked it. People really responded very well to it. So when Honor Blackman left the series at the end of the next couple of seasons, they were like, well, we gotta keep up with this like badass lady sort of deal. And they hired Diana Rigg and wrote the part to be this woman who could do judo and who was incredibly intelligent, who, you know, wrote physics treaties for fun, just on her own leisure. And that was Emma Peel. And Emma Peel was supposed to be distinctly feminine in how she like looked and how she dressed a lot of the time, but could also just lay you out, no question, and could definitely take care of herself. And frequently, you know, Steed would get into trouble, and Emma would have to fix things and save him, which was always fun. And I grew up in a household that watched The Avengers, and at the time, the Emma Peel episodes were airing on U.S. television. They were airing on PBS in the Boston area, and we could watch them. So I did. And I loved them. I thought they were super, super, super cool. But after that first season, where everything was super serious, they embraced this sort of tongue-in-cheek aspect of it and made them very funny in parts. What that ended up meaning is that you have a lot of episodes that take place in these little towns in the countryside where weird things are happening. Something is not right here. There's a whole town where the entire town has gotten in on being assassins. If you want to get rid of someone, you like send them to that town, and the people in that town who all look totally normal, they'll take care of them for you. It's the town of no return. I think that's what that one's called. I think that's the name of that episode. There was a time when I could name every episode. So I love that show, but it definitely primed me for Hot Fuzz.
I can totally see where that would go with that.
Having seen a lot of that stuff, and having that sort of like, yeah, this is crime and this is some serious things, going down, but also have that humor, that British humor to it, definitely made me 100% ready to absolutely adore Hot Fuzz. Hot Fuzz is definitely my favorite of the Cornetto movies.
I wonder if that'll make one of Derek's 365.
Oh, I don't agree with everything he's put on there, but okay, I had an idea. I'm not having kids. That's just a given. However, so I'm not like, I can't make a list of like the movies I think my kid should see, because that's a very different criteria than these are the best movies ever made, right? Like, he's not saying these are the very best movies that anyone has ever put to film. He's saying these are movies that like informed who I am, that I think are important that are like cultural touchstones for my son. This is the owner of the store we're talking about who's doing this on Facebook. So I was thinking I said to Andy, obviously we're not going to make a list of like the 365 movies our kids should see because we're not having any. However, what if we make a list of 365 movies we should show to an emergent AI to convince it not to destroy humanity?
Yep, check please.
Slightly different criteria, right?
I don't know if that's possible.
I just thought it was a good idea.
It's interesting, that's for sure.
But like when you have a specific audience in mind, when you have a specific like person or entity or like goal in mind, the movies that you put on a list like that are going to be really different.
Oh, definitely.
Like 365 movies I want to share with my mom is going to be very different from 365 movies I want to talk about with like my buddies.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's what we were talking about, movies and things that make people squeamish or that not necessarily intended to be that way. Like if you sit down and watch a Rob Zombie flick, you kind of know what you're getting into.
Yeah, that's a known quantity there.
Whereas, somebody, I was trying to convince them that they should watch The Road because it's a great movie, but they just 100% do not deal with cannibalism.
Yeah, same.
Okay. Understood. Which is too bad because it's otherwise a great flick.
I've heard such good things about it, and I know I can't watch it, which is a real shame.
The thing that I like most about it is that when you get to the end and you realize kind of what's happened specifically with the two main characters, and if you're never gonna, I don't want to spoil it for anyone else.
Yeah, don't spoil it for chat.
You realize that the decisions that they've been making are very bad in a certain way, but are 100% rational and logical, and you can totally understand how they got there.
Gotcha. Yeah. Which is fascinating. That's a fascinating sort of deal.
Yeah, they are simultaneously excellent decisions to deal with the environment they're in, yet are very costly.
Yeah. Just end up being very difficult to deal with the consequences of.
Yes. And you would definitely get a couple of the, if you were doing a list of most compelling characters.
That's a good question. Most compelling characters. Because you can have really interesting characters in movies that, like, as a whole don't necessarily stand up, but as like a single character in that movie is fascinating. Like the movie might just be like, it's fine. It's, it's perfectly fine.
Well, the one that immediately comes to mind for me, my all-time favorite villain on film, or one of my top two, is Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men is definitely also up there. Just
He's a great villain. I don't love that movie, but I don't love that movie largely because it's not for me. I do not deny in any way that it's a great movie. It's just not a movie for me. And I think that's important to recognize sometimes, that like not every movie is for every viewer.
Yeah.
And just because a movie isn't for you doesn't make it a bad movie. It's just not for you. And that's a very different thing than a movie being bad or like disrespectful, if that makes sense. Like a bad movie is a very different thing from a movie that just had a different audience in mind.
Okay, yeah, I see where you're going with that.
Like for example, There Will Be Blood. Amazingly written, amazingly acted, gorgeous cinematography, just a beautifully made movie. I don't enjoy it. And it wasn't made for me. I'm not the audience. That's okay.
I didn't make it through it. I was so bored. Like, nope. I'm sure this might go somewhere wonderfully at some point. It has not gotten me there yet. I have other things and other movies I can watch.
Not for you.
Yeah.
And that's what I say to kids at work, too, about books. I'm like, look, if this book doesn't catch you by the end of the first chapter, it hasn't done its job, it's not for you. Don't worry about it. Come back to it some other time, maybe when you're in a different mindset or when you're a little older, and maybe it will be for you then. But not every item has to be for you all the time. And that's also, I think, important, and I think there's a lot of people out there who don't necessarily understand that and get very offended when something that they want to be for them isn't. For example, She-Ra. The new have you heard anything about it? New design for She-Ra came out, and she's wearing bike shorts, not a mini skirt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Without any frame of reference, I'm like, I think I'm missing part of this here.
There are a whole bunch of adult dudes who are very upset about this. How dare they change the original design? How dare they not have her in a skirt? She's not as attractive in bike shorts as she is in a skirt.
Oh, okay.
She's a kid's cartoon. She's for kids. The intended audience is not 40-year-old dudes. It's not. And that's okay. There's plenty of other stuff out there that is for dudes, and you're welcome to enjoy the thing that's out there that's not necessarily intended for you. But if it wasn't made for you, it happens.
No. But I would definitely give my longest running top favorite villain is Magua from Last of the Mohicans. If you've ever seen that.
It's been a long time. I think I watched that in college. I'm old. Apparently there's a Zapdos raid in Pokemon Go, so I'm going to pull that up and see if I can get in on it.
But the thing I like with him is, one, it's Wes Studi, and he's a great actor for this. And there's character development through it for him. But he breaks down his backstory at one point, because he's directly asked why he's doing what he's doing. And he explains it. And when you hear his story, you realize that the only reason he's the bad guy in this story is because of the existence of the protagonists. If it wasn't for them, you would be totally on his side, rooting for his vengeance to be carried out, because he's trying to get back at the person who destroyed his life.
Right.
So, he takes it down a very dark way at a certain point, but he's not evil just for the sake of being evil.
Right. Which I always really appreciate when, like, there are motivations going on there. All right. I think a lot of the, like, striping, the gold striping detail is done on this guy. I'm going to take a peek at him.
That is awesome.
So I'm going to take a little bit of a break for a moment so that I can fight this big bird.
I like this.
I'm really pleased.
I love the
with
fur.
The way the fur came out, the way it looks. Oh yeah, we're gonna win this. How did that end up in my party? Oh. It's so thrilling watching me play Pokemon Go on my phone that you can't see me actually play, right? Astounding. I think we're about to take it though, so that actually didn't take nearly as long as I thought it was going to.
It looks strikingly similar to what you just painted too, at least in my mind.
Excuse me. Now it needs some white striping details on it. If you look at the card, you can see there are all these little like white lines in here, little dots and stuff. And he has some white highlighting on his face as well. So I'm going to do that, and then we go in for a wash. And we are very careful about our wash with this one because he has a lot of white and very light, bright colors. And I don't want to waste...
That's a tricky one.
That I don't want to like put a wash on and have it be darkened too much by it. So I'm going to have to be very careful. A lot of times when I do a wash, I'm just sort of like, I'm just going to slap this on the whole thing because everything needs to come down to the same level. This one, little parts need the wash, other things do not. It's a very large bird. You jerk. It's fine. Everything's fine.
I love this bit of simultaneous reaction. Both directions. No, we're okay.
Everything's fine. I only have so many Pokeballs to try and catch it. So.
I burned the music down. This is the last straw.
My tea's gone. I was like, I'm going to drink something, not my paint water.
Yeah, I've come close on several occasions.
Ugh, I am running out of balls, so this might not happen. This is my last chance. See if it works. I mean, if it, yeah, that's the end of it. Oh, well. Still won. That's always nice.
I did it again. Yay. Cool. I don't really have a choice, but...
All right. Let's,
Now entering the Battlegrounds Arena.
Tombstone. Thank you for subscribing.
Oh, that's
5 months in a row. That's awesome. Thank you very much. Sorry you came in to resub while I was fighting as Zapdos. All right. Actually, you know what? Before I do those, I'm going to do some dry brushing. And we're going to get some of this sparkly stuff going on. Nice. Looks brilliant. Thank you. I am really, really pleased with how this is coming out. It's behaving exactly the way I want it to behave when I do the dry brushing over it, which is making me really happy. It's really just sort of giving it that sheen that I wanted. Basically doing a metallic dry brush on it. Using that ruby red copper that you loaned me last week.
Oh yeah, I like that color.
It's like perfect to go over this and highlight it up.
That was used on a lot of my first 40k army. Oh. If all this extra snot and everything could go away, that'd be great.
Yeah. One of my coworkers had strep last
Ew.
week. And I was like, thank God I do not hang out around her, because I don't have time for that nonsense.
Please do the things.
It definitely feels weird. Slightly, it is a
It does kind of remind me. Is it Wayne's World? Somewhere I thought I had mono. Turns out I was just really bored.
There we go. What do you think?
Nice.
It's got that sheen going on. I like it. I'm wearing my painting jeans. No, I'm not. I'm wearing my good jeans. Never mind. Not wearing my painting jeans. Painting jeans are the ones I spilled chestnut ink on.
Yes. Do have... Where the hell are they?
There we go.
I should really organize these. I think I say that like every other week or so. It doesn't happen.
Nah.
I have a... Ah, I have these too.
I might use those. I mean, I try to varnish the whole thing, so I generally use spray varnish. But for these, I might want to be picking and choosing where I varnish with what.
I used those for. I didn't bring them today. To wipe down or wash down the mud on the 30K Marines who were all covered in mud.
Yeah.
And it gave it kind of a nice wet effect.
Alright. So now that we've done that, let's see. I think it's time for all the little white details on him, which is going to be amazingly annoying. We're talking a lot of dots. We're talking a lot of very fine lines here. And after we finish with him, I think we're going to play around with the red on her, and then we're going to start on him. All right.
You my second line in pilot in the short championship. Absolute critical change. Right when it, like the same thing, I couldn't give myself a the worst. It's like, oh, well, 2 out of 33% chance or whatever. In a very critical moment, what is it? Any other? It's not in pilot.
All right.
It's like, you can still shoot, but I think it's like, wow.
Oh, no. The other way. Green stuff side up. Not sticking to table.
Yes.
You're trying a computer, but you can't. It would be more funny if it was like after shoot if you don't even initiate range. Or like randomized. That's not very competitive.
What are we at? Okay.
Like, you have a pilot, randomizing time, after shoot someone, anybody can die. Everyone in our cast will die. Every single person in our roll will die. And if you
Yeah.
Am I supposed to be saying something? I feel like, is it Talladega Nights? Not sure what to do with my hands.
It's fine.
Car performed good.
So like, the more guns, the better. It's like freaking way it seems like you have way more fun. Like, you know, if you get jammed, yes, exactly. Even if you get jammed, go on and try like I got the thing. For the most part, like, you blank out on one, I blank out on one. For the most part, dice one. Dude, Era on.
Okay.
Was that you? Exactly.
Better than the mistake I made of wearing
I was going up this way.
These everybody sounds like they're having fun.
Yeah, they do. I think that's the Weiss crew today.
What's that?
I think that's the Weiss Schwartz crew that are
I don't know.
having a good time.
And then I was flying around and wait a minute, I don't have a and a pretty medium at one point when he was like, I was happy that I almost got the second one. And I was close.
All right, almost. There we go. Ow. Don't stab self.
Don't do that.
Just picturing the Buzz Lightyear. Blood everywhere. Yeah.
Did the white lining on his chest. Really pleased with that. Really pleased. That was the part that I was really not looking forward to doing.
At least it looked like there was some raised surfaces to work with, right?
Yeah.
There was, you can see it, there was a considerable amount of gold scroll work on him. It's
Yeah.
a lot.
It's a lot to do.
Especially where it's two colors. It's like, which do I do first? I guess I'll undercoat the whole thing in blue and then... It actually made highlighting it a challenge. Like, well, do I bother trying to highlight the blue against the gold first? Or...
Yeah.
Which is the best. What's that noise? You're going to refill.
I'm re-rolling my soul. I'm playing this instead. Suicide goes back to my level 1. Listen. I thought I was wrong past zero. Hey, Alice. I figured if you were going to strip the token blood, or at least a panel stuff over, the second shift would be shooting. Or the whole turn gets the ability, so I can put on cancel burn one on my back row side row, encore step, cancel the traps. Yeah. Ryan, come back. I have a question. Not looking at that combo. I actually haven't done that. Because really, it's either she has the first round that she shoots is target lock. Next round, it's probably the shot. So it's either target lock.
God, these little white lines are really making everything pop.
Low level at level 1. I wonder what that could be. I wonder what yellow turns out with a bunch of these guys. It was like food for
I need one more of these. And then maybe some of the other stuff. Okay, definitely need it. It's like color, but then I only have 3.
This list is great.
Okay.
The thing is, when you get soundless voice, there's nothing. Well, you can't actually play it. You have
Yeah, check out the leg on his left side.
Hold up. Alright, we're gluing things here that aren't designed to be glued. Come on, stop messing with me. These pieces don't normally go together. Okay.
That leg
Ooh, yeah.
versus that one,
Yep.
like everything just lights right up.
There is now a level 0. Thanks, Kung Fu Panda.
I'm spraying over there. That's cool.
And then Ken and Bob right, please. Who's Bob? That's me.
Right. Go get those.
Yeah, this model has a ridiculous level of detail. All right. It's the time I've been dreading. It's time for a wash. Yeah. Actually, a couple more things. I feel like the red wash is the way to go here. Yeah. What do you think?
Oh, I like the little light toggles.
I'm going to highlight over some of the gold now that I've filled in with a wash.
when you this battlefield was
Yeah, I built. I was not worried. I was just great, right? But then it's just like, wow. You can go first. Smuggler's copter is now legal in standard. And Gideon is also no longer legal in standard.
Yeah, you go
Building.
All right. Looking good. Come on. I only need a little bit.
I don't know what you mean. The tournament next week for Black Market.
Yeah, so traditionally, what we do is come here, and we do white, regular board game, over like, it's very, relaxed, and if you play a game, you get to go.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone wants the horror of hearing fruit snacks of all things.
Nom 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 nom.
You're talking about me. Yes, I can live in some.
Okay, so like you think theoretically get it right from like don't let it influence. I know Mike's a nice guy, and I know if you ask, Mike will take you the ride. You really don't know anything about Mike. Nice guy.
Not sure if it's same, but fitting.
Yeah.
I'll give him credit. The reason I figured out how to block people on the phone.
Isn't that nice? Yeah. Yeah, I preemptively blocked someone on Facebook the other day. It felt real good. It's like, oh, look, you haven't friended me and you're not someone I really want to associate with. So I'm going to go ahead and block you now. And hopefully it won't come up. I have someone I had to block on Facebook preemptively, and then she went and made another account. And I was like, ah, crud. Gotta block that one too.
Wow, that's elaborate.
right. I think I am pretty happy with how this guy has come out. There he is. There's his card. Do a little bit of...
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. I think that one is mostly done. So now the only thing left is I want these all on black bases because it's an outer space game. So I'm going to do a black base and then I'm going to stipple some white onto it for the star field. As I feel that sort of extra. Means I want that brush.
So my buddy was like, he was so excited to do it, and then he got his first break, and then I was like, I focus.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I'm gonna do like a stippling of white, pale gray, and silver. That's the plan anyway. I like using a flat edge brush for this sort of stuff.
What's that?
I like using a flat edge brush like this for covering the base. Just lets me get right up against the edges, but also be covering a fair amount of space. The only problem is this particular brush soaks up paint. So it ends up needing a fair amount of cleaning when it is done.
There we go.
Eventually I'll paint the bottoms of all of these so they all match. But it's sort of hard to set them to dry when you do that, so.
Bottoms.
Yeah, just so I don't have like paint strokes See how this one sort of has the paint strokes on the bottom?
Oh,
So I clean it up because it bothers me otherwise by going back and painting like the actual bottoms to all match eventually.
Nope. Not there yet.
There we go.
How about now?
I'll let that sit for a little bit. This is actually supposed to have some scroll work, so we're just gonna stipple that around. There we go. I think he is mostly done. I am pretty happy with him. So there we have. There's Shingen. I'm pretty happy with him. Let's do a tiny bit more touch-up work on him. I need to go back over the gold now that he's dry from his wash last week. He has both antique gold and bright gold in his stuff, so we're gonna do both.
Because I'm not playing the air, so let's go to
Now the problem I had with this guy was that the lines for him are molded in as like holes in the model. They're not molded in as raised lines. They're molded in as little wells. And they do not take paint very well, which is very unfortunate.
In the game, also, if you actually do the map out for the chaos in the game, there's no reason for the defending player to throw rocks.
I tried doing like a wash with it, like doing a black wash over it to get in there, and it just ended up bringing the gold so far down that it looks ugly. So, bring that back up.
Alright, we're going the other way.
Yeah, they can tie. Because you can tie, that throws, you don't have to throw a rock ever as a defensive player. Scissors, if they were to you all the on. Payoff for rock versus paper as a defensive player is actually the same as you rock. Slight risk of giving them a plus 4 card instead of give them 2 cards. In the same situation, if you do paper instead. All I'm saying is we have to work out later. Cards are really bad. It's a 50-50 of a point whether or not you get rock 2 cards. That's fine. Or overrated.
Are you saying you play 1-0 for a point?
I would not listen. I would never play that.
Dang it.
I'm just saying at the core that's what the card is.
Alarm clock is so. Alarm clock is both.
50-50, can't get it, or 50-50 cross.
But you always do it anyway. But alarm clock goes to memory, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So once you unlock yourself for a memory is done.
There we go.
She's now ahead of Nick.
Oh, it's supposed to be a drawback or whatever. It gives 3K power, but it's
3K. 5 kilometers long per person. Like in the right situation, upside.
yeah, it is mandatory. Okay.
For us, I'd like to give power right here.
As long as I completed, I know that that's the best one. As long as I complete those.
So we're being very quiet.
Yeah,
We're both just sort of very focused on what we're doing.
in the zone.
Yeah.
Is anyone still there? Oh, that was close. Almost just lost a head.
Oops. Don't lose your head.
What you should do is bring this down
Six.
but you're leaving 11.
This bright gold is the biggest pain. It stops up every single time. Yeah, better than it was. Still not great.
What's wrong with it?
It stops up. It's got a lot of particulate in it, I think. So it just ends up getting all stopped up every time.
I know, but that is 20% slower.
By itself.
No finishing power.
God damn it.
And your level one combo has an auto reveal spot.
Your salvager, your discarding
No, the reason it's not just red cards.
it's not just red cards as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can play the institutional.
Like that with ruins are going. So it's like if you're gonna play you have to choose what you want. Do you want to finish the power of
This one is definitely not my favorite of all of them. It's just not as good.
Which one's it?
This guy, just a lot of the detail that's molded into him isn't conducive to what it's supposed to be, which makes it very hard to paint.
and then there's
That one, I'm not a big fan of the weapon. It's just
Yeah, it's not great.
too big of a surface with not any detail to it that
Yeah. So it ends up just feeling flat, even though it's like very shiny.
yeah. The artwork it works on, but as a miniature, it's like,
Yeah.
you play basically a yellow green but you play one mark and
Are you here tomorrow for Anachrony? Can't remember who's playing Anachrony with us.
no, I don't.
Okay.
I was like, oh, I think you're talking to me.
Yes, I was talking to you.
Yeah. Nope.
I honestly can't remember who, like,
May or
asked
may not. I don't
first
know
for
if
that.
we're supposed to be doing something tomorrow or not. Usually depends on Earl's work schedule. And at this point, how I'm feeling. Because if I don't feel good again tomorrow,
Yeah,
I'm probably
I know.
not going to go anywhere other than the store. Because I have to. I don't even need to do that. Yeah, I do.
I think we have enough players. I wasn't sure if you were one.
What's the game?
Anachrony?
What's
It's
that?
a it's a very long form, very crunchy game where you can bank on resources you will have in the future to do things earlier in the game.
Okay.
But you need to remember to put those resources aside for later because the earlier you will have wanted them.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's a word for it.
So I guess what is it? Like a resource management game? Is it
Yeah, sort of. Andy knows it better than I do, but he bought it at PAX, and we've just sort of been sitting on it since because it's a longer game, and we can't do longer games on Friday nights because we just don't have the time by the time,
Yeah.
I get here and Andy finishes work and we eat and all of that. There's only so much time we have to play,
Yeah.
so...
Yeah, most definitely. That's
All right. I think he's as good as he's getting in terms of like all the gold detailing and stuff. So now it's time to play with grays for like highlighting his legs and stuff. Hey, resource management and worker placement, Andy says. So yeah, there you go.
Right, where you have like a mill runner at rare, and then you have a mill runner with one plus 500.
Yeah, plus at that point, depending on the day, people are really tired.
Yeah.
It's like, I thought about coming down last night. Like, I don't feel well. Like, no,
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need people. Is he about to pass out? Maybe. Definitely. It's
Not sure.
Definite possibility.
We played a role player last night where the game is rolling up your character.
Okay, that sounds like it could be either really good or really terrible.
It's actually really funny.
We've got a set of dice for that that's got alignment and race alignment and basic class.
Yup.
This is kind of a long-standing thing now. You can choose to use those. However,
Yeah.
remember correctly, they want it's like you get 15s. I think there's 15s across the board. Everything,
Yeah.
and you can't change them.
Yeah, that's just what you have.
Yep. And you have to use whatever the dice roll. I think, no, I'm not. That's tempting fate a little too much here. I enjoy building new characters for a lot of systems as much as the next person. However,
Actually, there is a thing I need to do here with the gold. Two things I need to do here.
we're back to once again. So do you want PvP? Because that's how you get PvP.
Yeah.
That's actually perfect roll. This is exactly what happened.
What do you think? I did some gray highlighting on him. Got in there with the gold.
Yeah. Other than the weapon, it's great.
Yeah.
Nothing you can do
And
about
I
that.
mean, the
Yeah,
weapon
that's-
is the weapon.
Yep.
It is what it is.
That is
So
the model. That is
I
not
am.
the.
I am going to say he is largely done.
Highlighting black with gray is tricky.
It is. It's really hard.
I've seen people do it really, really well, and I've tried it, and like, nope, it just looks like I've got gray smeared on. That did not have the desired effect.
All right, I have done it. As good as it is getting. He is done. Now we're going to play with the red on her. It's bright red. Fire red. Actually, before we do that, let's get rid of some of these dried. There we go. Free up a little space on my palette. Look, this is all dry. Pluck, pluck, pluck.
Oops.
I want to shake this better. Red, I find, needs a lot of shaking.
Especially is that one of the Vallejo or the Army Painter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reaper. But yeah, it needs
Yeah.
a good amount of shaking.
The reds seem to separate a lot.
Yeah, they just settle so easily. I'm gonna have a starburst. Well, I got through my not busy week, which is good. Next week, I don't think I have anything Monday. Let's look. Let's find out what my Monday looks like.
So insane. But then you also just look at maybe just survive.
Nope. I don't have anything special Monday. Nice. I don't have anything special Tuesday. I've got an arts and crafts program Wednesday, but that's normal. And I have a volunteer to take care of that for me. Thursday, I have live animals at the library. It'll be awesome.
What's coming?
I don't know. It's going to be a surprise.
Oh, okay.
The guy that we hire, or the guy that we hired this year, you can ask for specific animals, or you can say, we don't have a specific theme in mind. So you can be like, we want the backyard animals, and it's all like the wild animals you find in like an urban or suburban setting. Or you can say, I want rainforest animals, and he'll bring animals that are either rainforest animals or related to. You can do, I want all reptiles, etc., etc. So he's got a bunch of different, very specific programs, but we didn't have a specific theme in mind. Mm-hmm. And when he does specific programs for other libraries, that can sometimes mean the next day, the animals that he brought to those libraries need a break.
Yeah.
So we told him, surprise us, bring whoever is, looking good and you think would be interesting for our patrons. You've been here before. So that's what we said this time. We didn't really want to we didn't want to put too much stress on animals that might have already been at another library recently if we didn't have a specific theme in mind.
I'll say, surprised you could go real wrong real fast, though.
We know what animal, like we know what sorts of animals he has, and he knows our library, so.
Today's petting zoo, the cobra.
Now, he has some very neat animals.
Hey, kids.
He brought us I think he had a chinchilla with him the last time he came in. Those are always fun. I'm horribly afraid of snakes, so I always take the opportunity to actually, like, pet the snakes. Because I would rather get over my fear than continue to sort of... Like, there's a rational care that you would take in approaching or touching a reptile. But there's a big difference between a rational caution and a phobia that makes you wake up screaming from nightmares.
I can't remember what it was now. It was a kid's show. It was like an animal, like Ranger Rick kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I want to say it was PBS, and they exported it to Australia.
Yeah, Australia's animals are...
One episode ended up being banned.
Yep.
It was the spider one, because the American spider one was all about how most spiders really aren't that bad, and you shouldn't be afraid of them. And Australia's like, no, most of our spiders are friggin' deadly, and
Don't
you should
touch
be
them,
afraid
don't
of
go
them.
near them,
Be
yeah.
afraid, be very afraid.
Yeah,
You steal it in your house,
Australia's
set it on
wildlife,
fire.
Australia's wildlife is a little bit different from ours,
Yeah.
in that it's a lot more deadly.
Yeah, this the last time I went to a zoo. Actually, I think it was. I forced myself to go into the little reptile exhibit, and it was terrifying because I don't do snakes. But the interesting one, most of them are just terrifying. They had a king cobra,
Yeah.
which is scary. Even with glass there, because that shit could break at any moment. I'm well aware of this. But it's kind of sitting there looking out, and it's got nothing better to do, I guess. But unlike the rest of if you look at most of the rest of them, you can kind of look into the eyes. It's just like it's a reptile. And the king cobra, when you look into that creature's eyes, like there's another intelligence in there. It's like, okay, yeah. Hi, how you doing?
I'll be over here where you can't reach me.
If I remember correctly, while they can be aggressive, they are not particularly hostile.
Yeah, they just don't want you near them.
Yeah. If you mess with them, they will hunt you.
So don't mess with them.
Yeah.
That's the lesson I take away from that. Don't mess with king cobras, kids.
Yeah. The more you know.
Knowing is half the battle.
The other half is red and blue lasers.
I'm really happy with how this red glow. I'm doing brighter red over the darker red.
I remember.
I'm really pleased with it.
Nice. I like it. I remember reading more about it's the second one of Roald Dahl's autobiographies, Going Solo. As his time, it starts at his time in East Africa working for Shell, and they just have all kinds of horrifying snake encounters. But he ended up driving somewhere through the desert, and he bought a convertible and was warned, do not run the snakes over. Just stop and let them go by.
Yeah.
He said, because if you hit them just right, it would flip them up and into your lap. Like, oh, okay.
That's the most terrifying thing I've heard in a long time. Surprise! Snake in your lap.
So the first part of the book's all that, and then the second part, he was a fighter pilot.
He was a weird guy. I think he was also fairly anti-Semitic. But I could be wrong. I could be thinking of someone else.
If I remember correct,
which is like not unusual for the time,
Yeah.
but also not awesome. Like, that sucks.
I don't remember. It was one of them that I think his daughter is like, no, he really wasn't. I don't know if it was him though.
Did you?
No, my fingers are cramping.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
good.
'Cause
It's
you're
just-
using like it's so tiny.
Yeah.
Very different.
It's also usually a good sign I'm dehydrating, but
You should get a water.
yeah, I'll be alright.
During the pump, because it's not the pump. Actually, by your door again, your free deals, you're just not running.
Yeah. It's so good. Yeah, if I can go around still, yeah, 5 days.
Okay. Whoa. Yeah, see these are the pens I have available to me at the moment. We've got orange and green, we've got blue, we've got brown and black. None of those are the right color for the scroll work on her skirt. So I'm gonna see if I can get a hold of one that is burgundy, and then we'll do that. Her skirts are kind of ticking me off though. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna recover the white. All that black that I painted it, we're just gonna cover everything in white. I'm gonna end up using the black liner, I think. And just do the edges in black.
Huh. Maybe I do. I have this guy. He's in metal. That's why.
Yeah.
That's okay. Always use more.
Never have too many Yetis. Right?
I have an extensive collection.
Never have too many Yetis.
There's got to be 30 or 40 of them now. I don't know.
That's a lot of Yetis.
And various Yeti products. Mostly the Bumble. Got it. I do not have the 8-foot tall inflatable one. Because I don't have any place to put it.
Yeah, that's the trick.
Alright. That still has water in it. That has paint on it.
Yeah, I think I do. I do that.
So this is what I'm going to do with the skirts. I'm going to go over the underskirts with like the lightest of grays so that it's shadowed. I'm going to do a wash on them and then leave them. I'm basically going to leave her until I have the right pen to do the work on her skirt.
I'm not trick tracking any. That's fine.
Where are those damn heads? Yeah, that'll work. Don't.
Regardless of anything else,
I played different builds. That was a green blue there. We're not ready now. It's okay that maybe 40 cards is the same.
I'm literally playing at the same time.
No, not my fogs. Understanders.
I didn't see single fog.
There we go.
Oh, I'm going first. I just realized that.
I mean, I'll go back. Look, I mean, see, this is a different rare. Yeah.
That's a challenge.
Yeah. Oh.
How many different whites can you use to get some kind of definition?
Yeah. What I'm doing right now is doing a coat of Earthshade on it to get the lines, like the creases between the skirts defined, and then I'll go back and highlight it back up.
I should probably put these guys in pieces.
That was impressive. Okay. So I don't love how that looks right now, but that's not going to be the final product, so I'm okay with it. I am pretty happy with how all the red looks right now, so that is cool. So I'm going to let her sit. Now, let's play with this guy. This guy right here. Look at him. He's nonsense. I love him. Look at those wings. What do they even do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Okay, that's not good.
I think this brown pen is even dead. Yeah, it doesn't actually work. So I couldn't even use the brown pen if I wanted to. I've used the black one to do some detailing, but I think that brown one is tapped out. All right, let's think about what we're gonna do here. We're gonna go with copper. We're gonna go with copper orange for this. That color. And because I hate orange almost as much as I hate yellow, we're just gonna slap on. I actually find the copper is Dan eating his microphone?
No.
No, he's fine.
I probably
catch
sound
solar
kind of
winds?
terrible today.
Nah, you're. Yeah, I'm gonna need to unstopper that at some point. Yeah, to catch solar winds. Yeah, whatever.
It's an interesting answer to the question.
Yeah.
All right. Get those little dudes set. That's 3. That took way longer than I expected.
These things happen.
A lot more carving than I expected.
The thing is, more of him is copper than not. So I'm kind of like just slapping on the copper.
Those are very large wings.
I know, right?
And they look too thick to be able to fly. I get that you got to mold it.
Yeah,
somehow,
they're
but
well. No, I mean they're too thick to fly in the image. They're just these large thingadoos he's got on his shoulders.
Yeah, that's a lot of plastic.
Yeah.
Let's figure out how to clean this up now without making it worse. Does seem like a lot?
Yeah.
Oh, there's more. There's more here. Just look at that. It's everywhere. This is why I can't have nice things.
Got paint his butt. Yeah, I'm gonna need more of this copper. Putting this safety pin in my my brush tin was probably one of the smartest things I ever did. The metallic paints just stop up their little eyedropper things very, very quickly. On the cover? No, he's on the side and he doesn't have a full picture on the side, so we don't get any more input into what he looks like below the knee. So much copper.
It's electrifying.
I mean, that's obviously the theme, what with the bright blue and all. It's meant to be this sort of very electric blue and copper, and I don't know, I don't remember off the top of my head what clan this is.
that's why
Like, it's not painful at all. I've been there for like 2 weeks. Yeah, not
Where should I hook this?
Huh?
Where should I hook this where it won't get hurt?
Just, yeah, right there's fine. Andy. Well, it was good having you here. Hang out, paint. Good times.
I don't know if I talked enough today.
You know what? It's fine. I mean, I'll go like whole periods where I'll like just forget to talk because I'm so focused. Yeah, he looks awesome.
Fire suit's kind of interesting. Matrix is reset.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, you should go rest. Is that a possibility today?
Oh, absolutely not. I
Hmm.
can go further south before I go further north.
Well, have a good rest of the day. Feel better. Alrighty, so will I.
Probably coming down. We'll see.
Alright.
Maybe, but I doubt it.
Hey, Andy. I think I'm probably going to call the stream around there. I'm almost done with this base coat of copper. So when you have a chance, I think I will finish up. I'm going to leave his wings for last. I want to make sure I get, because they're in such broad pieces, I want to make sure I do them just right. And I also want to be careful with his head. Yeah, I think I'm going to call the stream. Thank you for watching and joining me, and I will be back next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.